Hello and welcome to this episode where we will be exploring AI context in Amplitude. It's a capability that has been released fairly recently in Amplitude. It's something I've been looking forward since quite some time. I'm a big fan of Amplitude, working with the platform consistently since 8 years now, seen hundreds of setups. But you're always, one limitation I found is that you're always limited to what you're sending in as your data points. That is events or user properties or event properties, but you couldn't add any additional context, like for example, what kind of users you care about, what your company objectives are, maybe OKRs, what your analytics preferences are. A lot of stuff that you couldn't actually work with in Amplitude in a straightforward way, at least. And that's changing now. So you can actually add these things with AI context. How that looks like, we will be exploring together. And I say together because I have not worked with it yet. I have worked, as I said, like many years with Amplitude itself, but this is new, so we'll be exploring it together. Let's tag along on this, and yeah, let's jump in. Perfect. So go into screen share here. You will be finding this document. That's the official documentation of AI context. So you can open this, follow along. Some of the best practices are shared here. You also have this here, which we will be referring to later. So keep that in mind. You will notice that there's no setup required. So anything beside of your regular Amplitude setup is not needed. You have it enabled of any plan. Currently, it's for any plan available. I think one of the things is that also Amplitude wants to have a lot of users adopting this and to further refine it and iterate on it. So with that, let's jump in. This is going to be your typical Amplitude view. How you can find it is you'll just swap here to settings. And this is, by the way, this is our Adasight environment here. So you will be finding this additional item here. And there you will see that this is something I wanted to remove. So we already have this from earlier. I'll just save this here. So you'll see here an empty screen. You'll find two items, which is on the one side, the organizational context and the project context. So this is, as you're probably familiar already within Amplitude, you have the org, the organization, as the highest hierarchy item, and then you have the project settings. So the project is going to be anything for a specific project. This could be a different brand. This could, or like product. This could be your marketing website or mobile app, etc. So the organizational settings are going to apply for all the org. So these are more universal. And then for specific things, you can add those here in the project level. Perfect. So with this established, most companies, including ourselves, we don't have like a predefined AI context about our company itself. But what we'll want to do here is we create this together. We'll want to have business context about the company. Something we'll want to also do is data conventions. We won't go too deep into this, but this is something. If you have guidelines on your schema, on, for example, your data glossary, for example, what does a conversion mean for you and the team? Maybe how are you thinking about retention? Any definitions, any ratio of metrics, etc. That's going to be in this section here. And then analytics preference. So this can be, as the name says, I think it's clear, like just anything you would like to have Amplitude know about your preferences there, you can add that. So we'll focus on these three things with a deep dive, particularly around the business context. So since we don't have that context, probably many other, we'll be just creating this together. I have a couple prompts here prepared in order to create this. We'll have 3 steps to create it. Those should be either in the event the video description, or we'll also have a blog post about this where you can just copy this. So starting out with this prompt, using ChatGPT here, but obviously feel free to use whatever your preferred solution is here. So what we want to establish here first is that actually ChatGPT in this case is aware of AI context. So just making sure that that Amplitude that ChatGPT is clear. So yes, okay, cool. It also didn't research further because I prompted this earlier already. Probably otherwise it would go into research mode. Just want to make sure that that ChatGPT is clear about what this is about. So we'll switch this. And then the second prompt, what would be the ideal AI context for Adasight? So you want to swap out your company name here, and then we'll ask it to create the context. Something I also, and maybe like ask a couple of questions to just make sure, for example, on the analytics preferences, that's obviously something that could be gathered from your website. What we see here, high level, growth analytics, partner makes sense. So yeah, you can just read through what you're getting here, and then we'll see here the questions. Do we have the questions? 3 questions that are. It's not really giving us questions. Or is it? Where is it? What internal taxonomies? We don't have that outside of AI. Let's prompt this further. So yeah, it's always, of course, funny or like a bit adventurous with generative AI because you always get a different answer. Please specify the 3 questions before creating the AI context. So we'll get the 3 questions, which we'll want to give answers to. The earlier time I was prompting with this, we got, for example, who are the main users of Amplitude? So in our case would be growth marketeers or founders. Getting a lot of stuff. Just one sec. So let's go with this. So I think that this can be helpful in defining what you want to get from AI context and also what your use cases are going to be. So primary conversion hierarchy we have here, which events or users going to be using it. And I think one thing I see very relevant is like your audience of users. So that's something that's, for example, if you have session replays and you want to use AI maybe also for the AI agent for session replays, it's going to be hard it's going to be important context. Let's say if Amplitude has context on which type of users are going to be there, maybe also the demographics, geographies, cultural aspects. So I'll just actually, in our case here, enter these questions here, or like the answers to the previous questions. This is context I want to use. Please now. Actually, I'll copy here again from what I have earlier. I'm gonna say here, please now create the AI context on organizational level. Write this code just for copy pasting it easily. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the writing principles, we have those here, here. And I didn't copy paste it into them, but just referring to it because maybe Amplitude is going to update these over time. So you can just use the link and ask AI to use those principles. So let's see what we get here. As I said, always interesting with ChatGPT or with AI. Therefore, so we get here what we can use for our AI context. So I'll just copy this over, and we can drop this here. So you click edit, add this to it. I'm not gonna hit save because one thing I want to do prior to that is actually to see, does it make an impact for our use cases? So what we can do here is so this is just a simple page view here, going up and down in the overall event totals. And for my context, maybe I want to, just gonna say new thread, and then we'll ask here which questions are people interested in. So we're asking this now, and it's going to take a couple of minutes. We're asking this without the AI context. So this is something, so we can just see the difference, because AI is going to be one of the main use cases, as we can gather from like AI controls and AI context, is where we have that additional rich context, and you can then see like how it uses that information. So it's a bit similar as maybe for ChatGPT, where you have like the controls, or where you can say like, hey, for always respond to me in this way, always keep in mind this in this context. So we're basically adding something here to the Amplitude AI memory, or like to what they're using there. So this is going to take a couple minutes, and we can, in the meantime, what can we do in the meantime? I could pause the video, or we can, I don't want to hit save on this just now. Maybe we can just talk about here the project context. The project context is, I would differentiate here between things that are true and true for all of your organization, and all of your company, and then be specific here. So if you have, for example, different applications, different products where you have different audiences, or maybe you have different OKRs, maybe you have different main stakeholders from the team that is going to be using that. So maybe you have your marketing website. Naturally, the people working in Amplitude with that marketing website are going to be different. So just adding here who's going to be working with it, and that they care more maybe about the attribution of the traffic and like high performing lead sources, etc. And marketeers are working with it. So also Amplitude AI knows, okay, if people are prompting on this project with the marketing website, speak more in the language and use terminologies and KPIs that marketeers care about, while you can use this example for other areas which maybe are more product heavy, or wherever context that applies. So that would also mean, by the way, to keep this a bit more generic if you do have multiple projects, so it doesn't conflict with each other. So that would be one thing I would note here for the two environments. So let's go back here. We are getting this review here. So we don't have, this is AI without context. So we're seeing here content marketing effectiveness highlighted across like different areas here, recommendations. So this is what we're getting without the context. So let's just keep that in mind for when we add this here. So we'll hit save. And I don't know how fast it updates in the background. I guess like a browser refresh doesn't harm at least, or can maybe help. I'm not sure. But at least we can also make sure that this is updated, or it saved it correctly. So we'll just also make sure. So now we can do our test here. We'll use exactly the same question, and then see what we get. By the way, how you can navigate this, something for a different video, but like you can navigate to analyze with AI here, or also if you want to see, hey, there's this peak here, what's going on, you can start also trigger this window from there. So asking this again here, again, I'll have to think what we'll what we'll cover in the meantime while this is loading. I'll probably just pause the video here and jump back in. All right, we're back. So this has loaded, and we see here this answer. And we cannot have it like directly side by side, but I feel there are definitely changes, and we're seeing a lot more from our prompts. We had, just to recap, we had that marketeers are mostly going to work with it. We're keen to see like which pages are driving engagement, which topics have interest. So we're seeing more granularity on, for example, like, okay, we have the homepage, which is one of the main drivers for like as an entry for new users. And then what else we have here? We're seeing here recommendation optimize for those homepage visitors specifically. So we're getting some concrete things here. So I think from my side, I can see that some things have been picked up from the AI context. I think very nice to see how fast it adopts it. So if you make a tweak in the AI context, it seems to pick that up pretty instantly on the side of AI on chart level. I think further refinements, obviously this was just the very first pass here, but I think further refinements would also be to think about if you have terminologies that you're using internally, that you have certain, like maybe a data glossary, or things about your ICP, your ideal customer persona, or OKRs. So this can, you can add these here. And also I would definitely recommend to regularly revisit them, update them if things change. And then maybe one thing I would notice, I thought first like, hey, 10,000 is like, that's like a lot, but it like with this copy alone, we're already at 1/3. But yeah, I guess it's just about being precise to share like things in a relevant manner. I'm not sure if you can link, for example, to like external websites. That could be interesting. But then on the other side, this is of course also a space you can use. So if you have things, if you are reaching limits here, like you're being very descriptive about your target persona, for example, or your product value proposition, you can also then add additional context here on project level. Cool. So that was a quick introduction to AI context. Very curious to see direction of Amplitude. I know they have a lot on the roadmap for this year in the space of AI, and these AI controls and an AI context will be one of the key foundations, I would say, in order to get the most value and to have the various AI capabilities work effectively for what you were trying to accomplish. Cool. I'll stop it here. Hope this was helpful, and do stick around. You can subscribe to the channel, or also check out our website. We'll be quite active here on the platform in the coming weeks and months. So if you want to learn about Amplitude and related things in the space, stick around, and we'll looking forward to see you soon. Bye-bye.